In 2012, I went on a mission trip to Ghana, as I had been doing every year since 2006. And Charles was a journalist who was going to do our story, and so he traveled along with the team. And he got on the bus.
I first saw her on a bus.
We picked him up from his job. Was it your job?
No.
No.
I joined you in the hotel, at the hotel.
Oh, you came to the hotel? Okay, I just remember you coming on the bus. So we pulled up and we picked you up and you got on the bus and you came and sat by me. Somehow I had a seat empty and you came and sat by me.
And that is how I came to, first of all, see her. She was seated at the back seat, almost at the back seat. And I was trying to figure out where I'm supposed to sit on the bus, the seat. And she was sitting alone, and I saw that beautiful face. And I decided to sit by her. I thought, this is going to be really interesting. And
so then I felt like it was my responsibility to be, cordial and hospitable and make you feel comfortable on the trip.
I joined her by her seat, and right away we started conversations and we became friends from there. And it was pretty a nice conversation that we started, right from about how I got into journalism. I asked about her life, what she do.
Candy, and we looked at pictures and
what she does in the US, and her family.
Shared snacks.
And she too asked me questions about myself.
And I showed you who my niece and nephew were. And
kind, and she would share her cookies and everything that she has with me. That was interesting.
All that kind of thing for like the whole trip. Like the whole week.
From our conversations, I noticed that we were like, I just find it easier communicating with her, and we share similar ideas. I asked her about her hobbies, and she would tell me she likes watching movies, she likes reading, which is almost the same thing that I like. And I figured out that we have so many things in common. And I said, wow, this is really interesting. Somebody that we share almost everything in common. Our preferences, even the colors that she likes color blue and I like blue. And she has the idea of purple, I like purple, and all that. I was like, wow. We have so many things in common. And it was so easy for us to get along.
And I thought you were nice. I thought you were cute. And yeah, that's what I thought.
So right from there, I began to have a certain level of interest in her. I thought it was, first of all, nice to be around her and hang out with her. And, on the trip, I was quite, close to her, and I found it easier, always having conversation and everything with her. So on the trip, the conversation was mostly between me and her. The conversation I have with other people, I have more conversation with her than any other person on the trip. And that is one reason was I was sitting beside her.
So at the end of the trip, I didn't make any grand declarations. I just suggested that we kind of keep in touch. Or maybe you suggested we keep in touch through Facebook.
And she told me that we can still continue our conversation on Facebook. And I said, wow, that would be pretty interesting. We can continue what we have started already. But all along I was thinking about how somebody that I've met and for almost 2 weeks that we spent on a trip, I have seen somebody that I feel so compatible with. And I began to like her so much. And I wanted to have the chance to continue to find out more about her and how, life could be with her. I was just wondering from 2012 trip. So we continue having our conversation on Facebook.
And we go on these trips every August. And when the trip was supposed to come up in August of 2013, you wanted to know if I was coming, and I said, no, I'm not coming, because for my birthday, I was going to Italy and I was going to France. So I was going to miss the trip, and you seemed disappointed, which I thought was nice.
So, wow, this does not sound good. I was thinking that you would come 2013 and we could see how, we could continue and then we find out more about ourselves. So anyway, she couldn't make it. She couldn't join the AIM mission to Ghana and have that particular trip. So I went with the AIM mission.
We kept in touch through Facebook still, Instant Messenger from time to time. And then in 2014, when I was getting ready for the trip again, I thought to myself, I wonder what Charles is up to. But I just kind of kept it to myself. I didn't say anything.
My job got me so occupied. My job occupies about 95% of my time. And I was, in a run-up to the trip, I was thinking, will I be able to go on this trip? 2014, I was just wondering whether I'll be able to make it on the trip. But when I spoke to you on, when I texted you on Facebook and you told me you were coming 2014, I was like, wow, then I must go. I must do whatever it takes in my power to get on the trip. So you were, she was one of, the number one motivation that inspired me that particular year to go. And I made sure that I was there.
Kimathi, who's also a friend of mine that I went to school with, went to Messiah with, says, it's like asking me about you and like what I think of you. I'm like, oh, I think he's nice, and I think he's this, and he was like, oh, okay. So we continue on with our trip, and I'm realizing that I'm kind of like liking you. So then I thought, I wonder if he likes me, but I wasn't going to say anything. No way. I just kind of played it cool and invited you to come out out on the road with us when we were in Kumasi. You remember we were in Kumasi? Mm-hmm. And it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and we were like going to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. And we were taking a cab, and we were like, oh, we need somebody with us. And I invited you to come, and you were like literally ready for bed. Mm-hmm. And you put your stuff back on and came out with us. I was like, I wonder if he likes me too. But I didn't say anything.
I still wanted to get close to you and, continue the conversations and everything that we had. And so there was this lady that was sitting in between us. And when we got to the middle of the journey, that is around after we've left Techiman, that's the middle of the country, I told Grace, the lady, her name is Grace, I told Grace that, Grace, can you please move to where I'm sitting so that I sit beside Patrice? I want to have a conversation with her. And she was like, really? I said, yes. Can you do that for me? And she said, yes. I said, thank you. And then I quickly moved in. So we had a conversation when we got off the bus at Techiman to go and have our dinner. So back in the car, there was a change. Probably you didn't know how that change came about.
I didn't.
But then it was a request that I made to Grace that we move from. So from there, we started having, we were able to have our direct conversations. And we were telling more about you, and I was telling you more about what I do at work, at home, my family, and everything. And I was like, wow.
And then, so we went to Kumasi, where we usually shop for the trip before we go up to Wachau. Wachau is 12 hours from the capital where we fly in. And so the whole way up to Wachau, we're talking and we're watching movies. Wasn't that when we watched the Lego movie?
Yes.
Yeah, we watched the Lego movie on my iPad.
One of our favorites.
Yeah, and we, shared snacks and shared stories and talked about, growing up and all that. And listened to music. We shared headphones, remember? I had one, you had one.
Yes. Yeah.
And
even when we were watching the movie, you had one.
Yeah, we just had one to share.
Yeah.
I remember 2 times. The first time, I needed to go to Adam's to get some water or something from his house, and I had to go to his freezer, and you saw me and you walked over there with me, and you were asking me about, we were talking about like past relationships, and you were like, oh, yeah, my ex-girlfriend, I don't know if you called her your ex or whether you said,
Ex-girlfriend.
yeah, your ex-girlfriend, broke up or didn't want to be in a relationship anymore because you wanted to be a pastor. You want to be a pastor. You feel like God called you to be a pastor, right? And she said that she didn't want to marry a pastor. And you asked me what I thought about that. I was like, well, I can understand what she means because pastors are really busy. They seem to give all their attention to the church, and it seems like a lot of times the family kind of takes a back seat to everything. So I could kind of understand that. And you were like, oh, well, would you not, want to be with somebody if they were called to be a pastor? I was like, well, I wouldn't necessarily choose that for myself. Like, if it were up to me, I wouldn't say, oh, yeah, give me the pastor. But if that's, something that God, orchestrated, I'm not going to not be with the person because that's what God called them to do. And you were like, oh, okay. All right. But you seemed surprised that I understood that, pastors just have like this whole like life that's
quite out of the normal.
Yeah. And so then the second incident I remember is when we were sitting at the table outside one of the classrooms with Billy. Billy had just gotten married in 2012, so this was 2 years later, and he was talking about how traditional like Ghanaian families are and how the woman takes care of everything and how they live in this place where it's like a community, and so he's not going to necessarily want to be seen doing like household chores and cleaning and cooking and stuff like that. And you were like, not me. I don't care who's looking. If I'm going to clean, I'm going to clean. If I'm going to cook, I'm going to cook. I don't go in for that traditional stuff. I was like, oh, really? I was like, oh, that sounds good. I wonder what he's up to. Is he trying to, I don't know, trying to put the moves over here on me? I don't know. But you were like, yeah, when I get married, I'm going to help with this. I'm going to help with that. It's not going to be she has to do everything. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I like the sound of that. So that was in Wachau. So then I remember writing in my journal that I was interested in you, but that I wasn't sure whether you were interested in me. But I was wondering.
It sounds and looks to me like this person is such a person with a very, she has a good history about herself, her Christian life. She loves God, she loves church, and she has passion for the work of God. The fact that she has even joined the AIM mission and she's not even part of the church, and she has moved in and joined them to come to Ghana to do the work of God. And I was enthused by that. And apart from that, I was enthused by the way that we easily get along. I mean, in our conversations, we share almost all the ideas. Everything that you mostly believe in is the same thing that I believe in. And it was so simple, and I was wondering that, wow, it would be so simple living with this person. And I began to have a thought about, you know, having starting a relationship with you. But I was wondering whether it's going to work out. Like, how am I going to do it? She's from different place. I'm from different place, and we are the cultural differences and a whole lot. You know, the difference was so vast for me, and I was thinking how I was going to bridge all those differences so that we'll be able to get along.
So then we finished up the conference in Wichita. It was a great success, and then we started heading back down to Cape Coast, or we always go to Cape Coast, which is the resort where the resort Coconut Grove is. So we always go there, and then on our way, somehow, I don't know how it came about, but we were like, oh, we should watch the sun come up. We should, when we get to Coconut Grove, let's watch the sun come up, because we were getting there at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, oh, why don't we watch the sun come up? So I kind of made it like something that I wanted everybody to do, like when we got there, but really I just wanted you to do it. I just wanted you to go and watch the sunrise with me. So you were like, okay. So you had a room with Kimathi and a bunch of other people. So we were like, okay, we're going to meet at 5, because according to my watch, my iPhone, it was supposed to be the sun coming up at like 5:15, 5:20. But I don't know anything about the sun coming up. The sun was already up when we got there, but it was so cloudy we couldn't see anything. But anyway, 5 o'clock comes, you come over to our room and get me, and Kimathi's with you. And I'm saying to myself, what in the world is Kimathi doing here? So, okay, we're walking towards the beach, and Kimathi's kind of talking with us, and we're kind of talking. And then at some point, I don't know, Kimathi's like, well, since the sun's not like real showy and it's so cloudy we can't see anything, I'm just going to go take a nap on the beach until breakfast, because this was at 5 and breakfast was starting at 7. So then we were walking a little bit, and then we decided to sit up on the deck outside the restaurant, and we were just talking about past relationships and what it takes to make a relationship work, and why our relationships that we've had have failed, and what we thought the problems were, and how we thought a relationship should go. So then somehow you told me that you were interested in me. And I was like, what? You were like, yeah, I was interested in you in 2012 or something like that, you said. I was like, what? And you were like, yeah, I know we're like, you know, from 2 different places and you're going back home, but I want you to give me a chance. I was like, you want me to give you a chance? You're like, yeah, like I think we should, you know, see if we could, you know, like have a relationship. I was like, wow, really? I was like, all right, well, I'll give you a chance. So from that point on, I gave you a chance, and it worked out.
Great.
It worked out, and you had to leave because you couldn't stay with us at Coconut Grove because you had death in the family. So we took a couple pictures. Adams took a few pictures of us before you left. And I was like, wow, this guy's interested in me. I'm interested in him. Let's see what happens. And that's kind of how it all started.
don't remember when I was introduced to your cinnamon skin tone in vogue. Runaway love, you were perfect with no makeup. In you, I see a lot of me. Those pupils mahogany, and they're teaching me a thing or two. Every time I see you, hey, it blows my mind, yeah. To know you're mine, yeah. I only have eyes for you, Maya. Princess, remember when? Wait, you don't remember yet. You're too young, but not for long. Soon you'll be a woman. What am I gonna do then? Oh, darling, I don't know. You'll be like, Daddy, I gotta go.